Watching Star Trek, the original series episodes, is a never-ending project. In addition to producing some of the most iconic characters and performances of all time, including William Shatner's Kirk, Leonard Nimoy's Spock, and DeForest Kelley's Bones, Gene Roddenberry's seminal series unintentionally started what would grow to become one of the biggest franchises in history. Let's take a look at some of the most memorable episodes from Star Trek. Number 1 is the episode Arena from Season 1. 50 years later, there's nothing more fantastic than Kirk taking on a guy wearing a green rubber costume. Even if Arena doesn't precisely build a one-hour drama from scratch, it does establish a Trek staple that would be adopted by all later Trek series. An alien and a human become isolated in a dangerous environment. Their enemies turn to friends, and the universe is made a better place as a result. Up until now, all we had seen Kirk do was save the day while lounging in his recliner or while brandishing a few photon torpedoes. Kirk is put in a situation in Arena where he must prove his survival by following his instincts and making do with what little support he can find around him. Kirk demonstrates throughout his battle with the Gorn that he's unaffected by loss but not by sympathy. By sparing the Gorn's life, he fulfills the cosmic entity's original intention, which sets the two against each other. Number 2 is Amok Time from Season 2. Star Trek's second season opened with a first look at Vulcan, Spock's home planet. The previous year, Leonard Nimoy's role was the show's breakout character, and viewers were really thirsty for additional information about the Logical One and his enigmatic people. Amok Time not only presents us with Vulcan, but also introduces us to the idea of Pon farr, the Vulcan mating ceremony that overwhelms Spock and drives him insane. Before the fever kills him, Kirk must defy instructions, changing his course and return his first officer to his planet. There we meet Arlene Martel's T'Pring, the exotic and stunning woman who is Spock's fiancée. However, T'Pring demands that Spock battle for her love, and Kirk is the unfortunate fighter she selects to take on her prospective spouse. Oh, and this fight is to the death, to paraphrase the ancient Vulcan priestess in charge of everything. In addition to giving viewers an interesting look into Vulcan, the episode enables Nimoy to introduce Spock to some bizarre new acting settings. Number 3 is the Naked Time from Season 1. The Naked Time introduced viewers to the core motivations of the relatively fresh characters aboard the Enterprise in the 4th episode. A compelling story, excellent acting, and a dramatic core combined to create a remarkable episode that is still very powerful today. Kirk and his Enterprise crew are infected with the same virus that killed the unfortunate bunch of scientists when they discover a team of dead scientists on the planet Psi 2000. Affected individuals behave strangely, almost as if they're intoxicated, and many of them discover that their true selves come out in acts of unrestrained emotion. Kirk's obsession with his ship, Sulu's hidden swashbuckler, Spock's half-breed identity struggle, and so on. As McCoy struggles to discover a cure for the intoxication virus, the Enterprise finds itself trapped in a death spiral that is spinning towards the planet's surface. Will the inebriated Enterprise crew be able to save themselves in time? They can, of course, and while doing so, they create time travel. Number 4 is The Enemy Within from Season 1. The Enemy Within offers numerous firsts for the Star Trek series. The first error on the transporter, Kirk, the first duplicate. The first uncontrollably sweating, mascara-drenched, overly dramatic Shatner moment. It's timeless. The Enterprise's transporter malfunctions during a geological excursion on Alpha 177 due to an incompetent technician who beams up with an unusual magnetic dust on his outfit. The main idea of the episode, that everyone has a good and dark side, as well as Shatner's masterful scenery chewing, are both outstanding. Though many later sci-fi shows and episodes of Trek would copy The Enemy Within, it has rarely been surpassed. Number 5 is Where No Man Has Gone Before from Season 1. The second episode of Trek is flawless science fiction, with a strong blend of action and dramatic, potent, and occasionally poignant moments. It strikes the ideal balance between living up to Gene Roddenberry's Wagon Train to the Stars premise and the morality play's morally difficult setting. The Enterprise's new mission, which involves replacing Captain Chris Pike and his crew with Kirk and Spock after they were rejected, begins violently and quickly when the ship comes across an unidentified energy barrier at the edge of the galaxy, turning Kirk's best friend and helmsman, Gary Mitchell, into a deadly foe. The episode sets up the Trek mainstay of the interaction between Kirk and Spock, and the emotionally repressed Vulcan acting as Kirk's conscience in contrast to his fervent cowboy diplomacy. Additionally, it establishes the general rule that Kirk's tunic must always be torn whenever he engages in a fistfight. Number 6 is The Trouble with Tribbles. We need to pay attention to an episode that DS9's characters were sent to relive and honor. Fuzzy, purring, Wookiee pellet-looking things on a space station full of Klingons sounds like a formula for disaster. Thus, The Trouble with Tribbles could have crashed and burned. Rather, the episode became an enduring favorite among fans and introduced the distinctive light comedy of Trek, which would be further developed in shows like Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. A fake distress call causes the Enterprise to be dispatched to guard a space station's quadrotriticale, a unique grain that is highly valuable to the Klingons. Kirk grudgingly maintains order while the born pregnant Tribbles proliferate and devour everything in their path, including the grain. An old-fashioned barroom brawl breaks out, revealing the human saboteur to be a disguised Klingon, and the Tribbles come to the rescue. Number 7 is Space Seed from Season 1. Considered by many to be the best Star Trek movie to date, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan would not have been possible without the suspenseful first season episode. When the Enterprise finds the abandoned ship Botany Bay drifting in space, Kirk saves the crew by waking them from suspended animation. Unwise decision. They're genetically altered supermen from the 1990s eugenics wars, it turns out. With a more sophisticated wardrobe and a larger ego than his rescuer Captain Kirk, Khan is out to win over not just the Enterprise, but also the heart of Madeleine Rue's artful redhead, Lieutenant Marla McGivers. Along with several shrewd verbal exchanges between the two adversaries, the episode has a fantastic mano-a-mano fight between Kirk and Khan, something the ship-bound Wrath of Khan did not include. Number 8 is Mirror Mirror Season 2. Possibly one of the most iconic episodes of Star Trek that even casual viewers can recognize. Mirror finds Kirk and company transported to another universe where the warlike Imperial Empire has replaced the Federation's tree huggers as the victims of an ion storm. While their evil counterparts occupy the brig back in the ordinary reality until Spock can figure out how to rectify the situation, Kirk, Uhura, Bones, and Scotty take on the roles of their doppelgangers. A very Ming-looking Spock lives on board the starship ISS Enterprise, and he quickly realizes that something is off on his ship. That captain had come dangerously close to being the victim of a mutiny when Mirror Spock's Kirk vanished. Ultimately, Mirror Spock assists Kirk in re-establishing equilibrium, and Kirk demonstrates to Mirror Spock that his morality and reasoning are still intact, despite being a soldier. Number 9 is Balancing of Terror from Season 1. The TOS episode that introduced the Run Silent, Run Deep strategy for space battle was universally adopted by Trek. It's also our first meeting with the Romulans, and it gave Captain Kirk one of his first chances to demonstrate to his crew that he dislikes defeat. In this episode, Kirk plays the lead role in a cat-and-mouse game on the edge of the Romulan neutral zone. The Enterprise was initially dispatched to find out why the outposts there have stopped talking. And when it arrives, it discovers a bird of prey and a Romulan commander, prepared to remind the galaxy that it was a mistake to turn its back on the Empire. Number 10 is The City on the Edge of Forever from Season 1. Written by Harlan Ellison, this cherished first-season episode sent Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock to Depression-era New York, where they had to find and stop a drug-addled Dr. McCoy from altering history. Joan Collins plays Edith Keeler, a social worker at an inner-city mission whose pacifist ideals and stirring speeches will one day have such an impact on the country that America's entry into World War II will be delayed, and the crucial development that allows the Nazis to win the war and conquer the world. Edith Keeler is the main character of this mission. Do you enjoy Star Trek? Which of the following episodes is your all-time favorite, or is there another that you love that isn't on the list? Do share your views on this in the comments section. For more interesting stories and updates, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon for notifications. Goodbye.